All right, welcome back. I hope you're having an awesome time so far. Our next speaker is Ankit Mangal. He is Director, Advanced Analytics and Insights at Wayfair. Please join me in welcoming him to our virtual stage.
Thanks, Patrika. I'm pretty excited to talk about Wayfair and how we are optimizing our targeting strategies for different services that we offer. But before I go there, let me share my screen and make sure that you guys can see the slides. And let me start in the presentation mode. So as I said, I'm pretty excited today to talk about Wayfair and how we are optimizing different targeting strategies for many of our services that we offer to our customers. But before I go there, let me talk a little bit about Wayfair. So Wayfair is not your usual technology company. In a typical e-commerce platform, the experience is a lot more searchable. So when you go to Amazon, you're looking for that Duracell battery, you type in AA batteries, you select 4 of them, and you make the purchase. So it's very driven and very targeted from a customer's angle. Whereas the next generation e-commerce has to be browsable, and especially the category that we operate in, which is home decor and furniture. When you're buying that large sectional sofa, or when you're buying that queen sized bed, you're making sure that it looks nice, it fits your profile, and it's a lot more browsable experience, if you will. And it goes with the merchandising of the stuff that we sell as well. So again, going back to traditional e-commerce, when you're buying that kitchen roll, you go by a brand. Bounty has done a lot of branding, so you go and pick that and you buy that particular kitchen roll. However, when you're buying a table lamp, you have to consider so many different dimensions. uh, does the style fit your overall style of the different furniture items that you have in your room? Does it look nice with the background that you have? Does the height looks right? Do you have good reviews and other customers are saying great things about that table lamp, about the quality of the stuff as well? And that's where Wayfair has done a great job so far in making sure that we have great selection for our customers on a website that works for them, and with the right operational model that we have. And the proof is in the pudding. So if you see the growth that we have had in many years since conception, we have been growing at a very fast rate, 40% year over year for many years. And during the pandemic in last year, there were a couple of quarters where we grew by almost 100% year over year, even though we have revenue which is in billions. So as you can see, in the last year, 2020, we made $14 billion in revenue, and we're expanding our footprint significantly in the international space. So we have majority of our revenue coming from North America. However, we are expanding our footprint into UK, Ireland, Berlin, and there are many other countries that we are venturing into. It's a very fast-paced company that is growing at a very high rate, even though we have a massive scale to operate in. But there's a lot more headroom for us to grow into. So if you think about the home category under which we operate, by 2030, that will be a potentially $1 trillion total addressable market. So we have a very small part of the pie, but it's a very fragmented space that we operate in, and we are one of the biggest players. So there's a lot of headroom for us to grow into. And for us to make sure that we can actually support the continued growth, this is a very simplified flywheel, if you will, of how do we operate. So if you think about it, marketing actively engages with our customers, get them back on the site, engages with new customers, and increases our traffic. Then Storefront creates a fast, tailored, and anxiety-free experience that helps customers make the purchase online. Then operations, of course, delivers the products, make sure that it's delivered on time, it's delivered undamaged, and it's a great experience overall. And then if there's something that goes wrong, we need to have a very robust customer service experience where the customers who have a delayed product or a damaged product, or they have some questions about the product that was just delivered, they can pick up the phone, talk to our agents, and resolve the problems. So that's a flywheel that we are actively engaging and operating on to make sure that we continue to grow at the rate at which we want to. And I'm going to focus more towards the storefront side of the business today. And as you saw, our vision is to create a fast, tailored, and anxiety-free shopping experience. So fast, nobody wants a site or an app that takes 5 minutes to load, right? So the site experience has to be lightning fast. Tailored because there's so many different options that a customer can engage with. We need to understand customers interests and their needs, so we can tailor the site to their needs. So if somebody's looking for a table lamp, and if we keep showing them a sofa and then a mattress, it's not going to be a tailored experience, and eventually they're going to just exit the website. And then it has to be anxiety free. So if you think about the space that we operate in, it's a fairly difficult space. When you're buying a large sectional, there's so many things that can go wrong. So it may not fit the style of the room that you have. It may be too big for you to drag from your patio through the door in the living room that you want to place that in. It may have low quality if the reviews are not right. It may be extremely difficult to assemble as well. And then on top of all of that, these are expensive items. A typical sectional costs $1,200 and more, and not everybody has that liquidity. So with all those anxieties that a customer can have in the space that we operate in, we offer our customers different services that can reduce that anxiety. And that's what my focus of the conversation is going to be majority of the time today. So as I talked about it, buying furniture is hard. We make it easier. So continuing with that example of large sectional sofa, if it's $1,200 or more, we offer credit card services and different financing options. That ways a customer can actually make installment based payments so that they can piece it out over the next few months. We offer to our large customers professional services. So our B2B customers who are buying hundreds of conference tables or conference chairs at any point, they have specialized sales support. They have customer service support. They have individuals who are expert in interior design who can help them design that space. For the couples getting married, the last thing they should be worried about is registry. So we have those services to our customers where they can select a few items that they want the guests to purchase from, and then we take over and we take care of everything from that point onwards. And for the large, more complex products, we offer assembly and installation services along with the warranty services. So what that makes a little bit of a challenge is how do we get customers' attention and showcase right service at the right point in their journey that's relevant to them. So if you think about this particular product page, this is a typical refrigerator product page, $1,000 in price. So it's a little bit more expensive than a typical average order value. So as you can see, we show our credit card messaging here, where we say that you can sign up for a credit card, get $40 off $250. We also talk about buy with Affirm, where they can sign up for installment-based payment plan. We talk about shipping services. So if they want to schedule delivery, if they want white glove delivery, they can have all of that at their fingertips. We talk about adding to registry, where they can, if they're a couple who are getting married, they can add it to a registry program and the guests can help buy them a refrigerator. And we talk about how we can offer in-home repairs and different warranty services. So all in all, there's a lot going on this page. There are 4 types of services that we are selling along with the refrigerator. So what's wrong with that? First, it distracts the customers from making the purchase that have come to the site to buy a refrigerator. We're giving them too much information and that may just distract them. Second, it impacts the site speed. As you remember, the Storefront's vision, fast website. So the more messaging we put on our website, the more engineering code we are layering on top of each other. And that's where it can really add lag to the page, which is not helpful. And finally, it doesn't help sell more services, because if you're distracting our customers, then they may not buy that refrigerator. And if they don't buy that refrigerator, there's no point in selling an installation service or a warranty service associated. So all in all, what we need to figure out is how do we show relevant services to our customers at the right time and place while ensuring that the services are profitable. So that's a third angle that I just added, where we have to understand that we are prioritizing our messaging, not just based on customer needs, but also there's a component of profitability to it as well, so that we are consistently supporting the scale of growth that we want to. So with that, the winning content that will help us answer that question of what is the right service at the right point will have 2 dimensions. One, the content relevance, and the second is content value. So content relevance is a typical problem where we are trying to understand for this customer with these attributes, what is the best service that we can offer to them that will have the highest likelihood for them to buy that service. So we have many different customer attributes that I'm going to talk about that help us figure it out what's the right content relevance. The second dimension is the content value, which is how much money are we generating by selling a particular service. The complexity here is it's not just that we charge $80 for installing the refrigerator and that's our revenue, but there's a component that if we give them a great experience, customers will come back because of that installation service on that refrigerator. So there's a halo effect where we see incremental services, incremental revenue generated when a customer purchases a service. And that's where we have to forecast what's that incrementality is going to be. And then we have to apply discount rate to get the net present value of selling any service at t equal to 0, which is at current point in time. So this, as you can understand from a business perspective, is a very, very important problem to solve and makes it a very complex analytical problem, which is probably one of the most challenging problems that we have solved in the past year. And I'm pretty excited to share some of the solutions with you. So these are the three things that are major components of the analytical exercise that we did. Our goal is to develop a cohesive strategy to show services to our customers. So the first component is estimating the net present value of engagement. So as I mentioned, if I bought a installation service today, I'm not only paying $80 to Wayfair, but if Wayfair gives me a great experience, now I'll be more comfortable buying a washer dryer from Wayfair, where I can further buy, not only generate revenue by buying that washer dryer, but I'm also paying for another installation service. And that's where we have used different complex methodologies, including double machine learning and causal forests. I'm going to go into details about that later in the slides. The second component is the estimating sign-up propensity, which is the likelihood of customers buying a particular service. And that's where we have used customer metadata, history, website interactions, anything that can capture on customers' intent. And when you combine those two pieces of information, you can put them into simulations or you can put them into a true A/B test to see how effective your strategy has been. And that's what I'm going to walk you through step by step on how we approach this problem. So let's start with the NPV of engagement, the net present value. The way we started was, since we have so many services, let's start small. Let's pick 2 services, create a framework on how we can estimate the right net present value, and then you can scale that framework to any other service. So we started with a credit card service, which is our private label credit card with Citi, and then we have different financing options. So we combined them together into one product. And the second product we considered was assembly and installation service. So first thing was to make, there's so many different methods that exist out there. We have to make sure that we pick a method that is actionable and interpretable. We operate in a business where we work with different stakeholders, and unless we can explain a particular method, it's very difficult to get a buy-in. And that's where typical black box models don't do well. So first literature review that we had was of causal impact, a very robust algorithm, which is Bayesian forecasting based, helps tease out the confounding factors, but lacks a little bit of interpretability. It's fairly complex and we have tried that in different scenarios, and we chose not to go with that. The second method that we considered was very standard CEM approach. The general problem that we have seen with CEM is the scalability and generalizability of the results. It's very specific and very focused algorithm that solves a particular problem. But if you want to apply that to many different services, to all different types of customer segments, it's not as scalable as we have seen some of the other methods. And that's where we went with causal forests and machine learning, double machine learning. So these are fairly new methods, exceptional and rigorous on heterogeneity differentiation and addressing many different confounding factors. So if you think about, if you're trying to estimate the incremental value of buying an assembly service, we have to control for the fact that the populations are twofold: the customers who have bought the service and the customers who have not bought the service. Now we have to make sure that we are controlling for the many different factors that differentiates those two customers. So that could be customer A as A has visited site 15 times more than the other customer. The customer A has a lot higher share of wallet than the customer B, and so on and so forth. So we have to control for those confounding factors, and that's where causal forest and double machine learnings are really good at it. It's a highly interpretable method, and I'm going to walk you through some of the trees that we were able to identify that can give very clear business rules on how it's making decisions. And finally, it's not computationally very expensive. So if you go back to our vision is to have a very fast website. And if we have to take this approach and scale it into real time, we wanted a computationally less expensive method that is interpretable. And that's where causal forest and double machine learning have done a great job. So here's what we found out on PLCC service. So if I can explain this chart to you, on the x-axis, you have days from intervention. So it starts from the moment somebody bought or signed up for the credit card. On the y-axis, you have the incremental revenue generated by the customer who signed up for that credit card. So as you can see, the line is pretty linear and it keeps going even at the 350-day mark. What that explains to us is that when a customer signs up for credit card, their loyalty increases and they are generating incremental revenue for Wayfair, even when we're controlling for many different intent-based factors. So credit card is actually helping us increase revenue. And it's understandable as well, because when you give somebody a credit card, now you're giving them a line of credit, right? Where they can use that credit card not only at Wayfair, but they can use it anywhere else. And that increases brand affinity with Wayfair. Also, given that they have more financing from Wayfair, they feel more comfortable making bigger purchases with Wayfair. So the revenue continues to grow up as we have signed up the customers on the credit card. In assembly services, the read was a little bit different. So when a customer signs up or purchases that $80 installation service for the refrigerator, we get an immediate uptick in the revenue, but it plateaus after a certain point in time. And the uncertainty goes very high on our estimation as well. And it makes sense from a business perspective. When somebody is buying installation service for a refrigerator, it's very, very specific to the product that they bought. And that's where the lingering effect of that doesn't hold for a very long time. The next 30 days, it loses its effect. So what this tells us is the two services have different value to the customers and different values to Wayfair from a profitability perspective. Both are exceptionally needed in solving customer problems, but have different profitability metrics around them. And that's where we have answered the first question, which is what is the net present value and how can Wayfair offer these services to keep generating profit? Now let's talk about the second part of the analytical problem, which is how do we identify what is the most relevant service to the customer? So based on their browsing behavior, based on their customer attributes, can we identify this customer is most likely to buy a home service or an assembly service, or they are in the market to buy another credit card? And that's where some of the methods that we tried was again focused on actionability of it and interpretability of it. So let me start with the static variables that we had in the customer metadata. So we looked at many different attributes that are historical, that explain customer behavior. How frequently have they come to our website in the past? How many products they have bought from us? What is the variety of those products? How much money they have spent with us? How many emails they have opened from us? So all those static customer attributes were core part of our understanding of the customer behavior. Then we added a lot of dynamic variables, that is in session activity. So since they have landed on the home page, how many minutes they have spent? How many products they have viewed? Have they clicked on different links or not? And all of that information is processed in real time to see if we can make the best judgment on what's the right service to offer at this point. And that's where the first method that we tried was market segmentation trees. It's a typical method where we combine customer segmentation and response modeling. And the output is really, really intuitive. It's a decision tree where you can follow along the nodes to understand different variables that creates the customer segment along with the inflection points. And then every node, that is every segment, has a multinomial logistic regression model that can help you quantify the probability of customer buying that particular service. And the second method is which I'm very excited about, is something that we developed in partnership with MIT. So Wayfair has this longing partnership with MIT, where we work with the professors, the PhD students to identify the new cutting edge technology that we can pursue. And we built this algorithm that is up for publication in one of the most prominent journals called cluster while classify. So it's a different twist on the same problem. It comes from a sales forecasting algorithm, and the output is every customer having a probability of belonging to a particular segment, and then you have additional probability of that segment buying a particular service. So it's very robust and a different way of looking at the same problem. So here's a visualization of market segment trees. As you can see, there are so many different variables and different inflection points that can help you understand how customer behavior differentiates from one segment to another. You can see some static features like since acquisition, how many days have passed. So there's an inflection point after 3,800 days, which is almost 10 years since they have been acquired. For each node, as I said, there's a multinomial logistic regression model that tells you the probability of this particular segment buying a particular service. And then you have dynamic feature split as well. So in the session, how many products they have viewed is a critical variable. And once somebody has viewed 3 or more products, that becomes an inflection point to differentiate customer segment 1 from customer segment 2. So with that, here's an output that you can expect from a market segmentation tree. On the left, you can see we are talking about a particular node, which is customers who have been acquired have purchased warranty services at least at a 1.4% or more rate in their past purchases with us, have not clicked on any of the credit card links that we have showed in the session, and at least have added 1 item in their cart, potentially up to 3. So with that customer segment, now on the right, you have selection probabilities. You can see if Wayfair gives a particular action, what is the customer selection probability? So for that profile, if we show assembly, there's a 92% chance that the customer will buy assembly. And that's very powerful from a business perspective, because now the marketing team knows exactly who we are targeting, why we are targeting them, and if we target them, what is the probability of them buying that service. And that's a very powerful data-driven analytical method of driving business strategy. Here's the output for the cluster while classify, the new algorithm that we are about to publish. What you can see is that each customer has a probability of belonging to a particular cluster. So you have cluster 1, cluster 2, and so on. And for each cluster, you have similar output where you have probabilities of that segment of customer identifying the right service for them to be purchased. And that's where the accuracy and the different model performance metrics are very high for CWC in comparison to traditional market segmentation trees methods. So again, as you want to see, for the cluster 1, if Wayfair chooses to show assembly and credit card both links, none of them are purchased at a very low rate. Like there's a negative likelihood that anything will be purchased, which again solidifies our hypothesis that random selection of services doesn't help. Customers get distracted. Whereas if we show both of them, the probability is equal. However, the best idea is to show for cluster 1 credit cards, and then the likelihood of them buying the credit card is 62%, which is much higher than any other combination. And that's where we have solved the both problems, and we are combining them into an optimal service representation to our customers. And we are putting them through an A/B test to see how much incremental revenue we can generate for Wayfair. So as you can see, through a very rigorous analytical process, we have identified the right way to show relevant services to our customers while generating massive profits. So I'll be happy to hang around and ask and answer any questions that you guys may have. There'll be more information shared about my contact details that Patricia will share with us, and happy to chat more. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ankit. If you could stop sharing your screen so the audience can give you a big virtual round of applause. That was awesome. And we appreciate you sharing your insights with us. For the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure you accept your connection request and check out our amazing AI exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.